Good afternoon, good evening, and later on, good night. Welcome back to another episode of Knockout Analysis presented by Cronio Media. I am your host, Ethan Chronister. This is your co-host, Mr. Whit Barnes. The date today is September 10th, 2025, and this is a day that will go down in the history books and not for a good reason. So without further ado, we will take a 30-second moment of silence for Mr. Charlie Kirk, the late Charlie Kirk. We appreciate you joining us in that moment of silence. Now that the dark stuff is out of the way, which we won't touch on too much more, unfortunately we live in a day and age where you can go see all that stuff yourself. I'll bite my tongue from the rest of it because we're too small. We'll get canceled. Anyways, it's UFC Noche fight week. Obviously, everybody knows the fight is no longer happening in Mexico per usual. It is happening in San Antonio, which is basically Mexico anyways. So, I don't even remember what... Oh, it was Paris. UFC Paris. We're going to go do a little recap of that one real quick. Also known as UFC Fraud Check, the Fighting Nerds.
Mm-hmm.
Mauricio Rufy got absolutely exposed. Kai Barallo, he brawled. I can't even hold it. He brawled. He got his ass beat, but he brawled. Everyone else, bombs.
Paul Craig.
Paul Craig, you are officially in the safe zone, big dog. I can't take any more slights at you. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm not still going to bring you up.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is one of the better cards of the year as far as finishes. Like, if you woke up at 11 a.m. and watched this, it was phenomenal. I was taking a shit during the Hughes Bannon fight. Not even because they were women, but, like, because I had to drop a bomb, and it was usually at 10 a.m. in the morning. I always have to drop a bomb, so I did. But Sam Hughes, from the highlights I watched, he absolutely dominated it. Rinat Fakhretdinov, as predicted in Knockout Analysis, dominated Gustafsson. I don't know why he ended up being an underdog. Brett Tavares did not get a record. He did not get the record. He looked like shit. I don't know who Brad Tavares can beat. Maybe if he rematches Gerald Mearshart again and doesn't get subbed in the third round, he can get the record over Bisping. Oh, dude. First time for me. Harry Hardwick got wheelchaired out of the octagon, man. How the fuck are you going to call Anthony Smith a bum and say he has no heart? But get wheelchaired out of an octagon? That dude is a certified bitch. Kai Fernandez, I still don't think you're very good. I just think you beat two bums. Like, even if your leg kicks are very good, there are a bunch of guys in the UFC that have great leg kicks that aren't very good. Jonathan Martinez at bantamweight has world-class leg kicks. Not very good at anything else, and I think Kyle Fernandez is the same way. I'm skipping the Marcin Tybura-Dolizia fight. Omar Sy beat Ribeiro, as predicted on Knockdown Analysis. Let's scroll up here. Let's look at something like more pressing here. Cron already touched on it, but Benoit, you're still kind of a fraud. I think that said more about Mauricio Rufy, which I'll take it on the chin, man. I thought Mauricio Rufy was gonna be like a blue chip type of guy. Sometimes it's easy to look at guys that are in great gyms and say they're gonna be great. Like, look at Blood Diamond at City Kickboxing. A lot of people thought he was gonna be great, but he was terrible. I think Mauricio Rufy, at this point, I think he's a fun fight guy, in the prelims, but I don't think he's ever going to be ranked. You know, if you're getting absolutely dominated, like he got dominated, there wasn't a single second in the fight where Mauricio Rufio was winning it. You know, if you're getting dominated by Benoit Saint Denis, you're probably not going to be a whole lot more, you know? And I think that the fight with Terrence McKinney, as projected on Twitter, is the fight to make. I think he loses that fight based off what I've seen. I think he gets submitted. And Benoit Saint Denis, you're losing to Mateus Genrot, big dog, and eventually somebody's going to beat you out of the top 15. But that's really all I have to say about Paris.
Our GOAT, Marcin Tybura, knocked out.
I mean, we don't have to talk about it.
That'll move us into the matter at hand, which is UFC Noche and Frostbank Center in San Antonio. Mr. Barnes is going to take the lead on this one for a welcome change for some of y'all. Maybe unwelcome. I don't know.
Dude, I mean, we low-key covered this fight for 319. This is a welterweight bout for the UFC reality show. And, dude, I'm just going to pick by the flag. And I picked Ukraine last time around. War-torn country. I just think he's going to get it done. Like, obviously, Joseph Morales, who was a big underdog on the flyweight bout of this show, he got it done, but I'm not going to pick the underdog in this one. I don't have the balls to pick two Ultimate Fighters underdogs. I'm going to take Don Chico. I have not watched him fight. I don't care about the Ultimate Fighter. I don't even remember the name of the show until I just looked it up on my computer. I just was bullshitting this whole entire thing. I'm going to take Donchenko. I'm going to take the flag. And that's all I really have to say about it. Don't bet on the fight because it's two jobbers fighting one another. If you want to bet on it, if you're really a sicko, take the underdog. But I'm picking the flag. I'm picking the Ukrainian Donchenko.
I'm going with the Wit Strat on this one. We're picking the war-torn country of Ukraine.
Yeah, man. I mean, not much more to say between the two is, and then we got women's bantamweight, the rare and elusive women's bantamweight unranked fight. Elise Pereira, not to be mistaken for Alex Pereira, they are of no relation. I don't know how she avoided the Contender Series and got into this fight. She is 19 years old, super duper young, dude. Like, here, let me go look on here, dude. She's 19, bro. In 2023, she was fighting, dude. She's 17 when she was 17 years old when she took her first professional fight. That's absolutely incredible. She must be very impressive for the UFC to give her an opportunity in the position. Rendon, man, she has one more fight than Pereira at this point in her career. She's a lot older. She's 1-1. Zednikova, I've watched her fight before. Wasn't super impressed. I have no idea why Melissa Mullins didn't try to take her down. It was just a very interesting fight. I don't think Zednikova is that good. Tamiris Vidal, don't even know who the hell that is. I'm just going to look here, man. And based off statistics, the younger fighter normally wins, especially when they're 17 years younger. I'm going to take Elise Pereira, man. I'm going to take her to get a decision out of here. She might get a finish and boost her way into stardom, which will be easy to do at bantamweight because there's only about 30 fighters on the active UFC roster. But I'm going to take her to win this by decision, 30-27.
So her first fight came against a 0-1 professional, which she won by rear naked choke. Then her second fight, she knocked someone out in the first round that had a 1-7 professional record. So, be impressed with that if you'd like to. I'm a hater, and I'm not going to be. I'm going to pick the one that has a picture on UFC.com to win this fight.
That's real. That's respectable. I think the experience could come into play. I wouldn't bet the fight, even though Pereira is only a -150. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-inch pole. That's gonna be a continuing trend here with this next fight.
And absolute gooner UFC fans are going to simp over her because she's mildly attractive. You
Mm,
disgusting losers.
get a fucking job is what I have to tell them hoes. But Alexander Costa is a guy we haven't touched on, but he has been scheduled for a fight. He hasn't fought since last year. You know, he got to win over Kevin Borjas, which I respect. He got to win over Oklahoma's own Jimmy Flick, which I will also put some respect on. You know, Amir Albazi, Steve Ursay. You know, those are title challengers. Well, Amir Albazi isn't, but he is also a top 5 fighter in the flyweight division. I just think he has more fights. He has more experience. He's young too. He's just about as young as Correa. You know, I'm not gonna put a whole lot on Correa's wins. You know, Correa has lost in LFA. He has not had didn't have a great stint there. He went like 3-3 in LFA, and then he went to Fury and had decent success. But I think there's levels to this game. I think Costa is the better fighter. Minus 400 is a little bit steep. I wouldn't put a whole lot of money on a lower level fighter like Costa, especially at those odds. But I'm gonna I'm gonna take Costa to win this fight. I think it's gonna be a decision, 30-27. We're gonna have a lot of decisions early on this card, but I think it's gonna heat up as I'm gonna predict you later on.
I'm following the same exact strategy. I'm picking the one that has a picture on UFC.com. Give me Alessandro Costa. That'll bring us directly into the next one. We have Zachary Reese versus Sedriques Dumas, the felon himself. What in the fuck? Zachary Reese standing at 6'4", 185 pounds, 9-2 record, facing off against Sedriques Dumas, with his 10-3 record coming off of a loss in his last fight. Zachary Reese beat Todorovic in his last fight, I believe, as we correctly predicted on Knockout Analysis.
Damn right.
His last loss coming by way of knockout to Azamat Bakoyev, which is not a bad loss at all. Sedriques Dumas coming off of a loss in his last fight to Michael Olajashik.
First fight is a fighting
by the
nerd.
word.
First fight is a fighting nerd too.
First fight is a fighting nerd, by the way. Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest. Mr. 1386 is not a very high-level fighter. Zachary Reese is going to dominate this fight, probably win by second round knockout.
I mean, man, I like Zachary Reese, but Sedriques Dumas has $13 in his bank account, man. Well, this guy is not fighting like he's broke. He is actually fucking broke. Is Zachary Reese the better fighter? Absolutely. I think he's the better grappler. I think he has more power in his hands. And I'm going to favor him, right? But I'm just trying to give you all these angles to say, don't bet on the minus 255. Don't touch this fight with a 10-foot pole if you are a gambling man, because minus 255. Do you want to put $250 to win 100 against a guy that literally has $13 in his bank account with face tats, who has been to jail, who is a career criminal? Let's Sedriques Dumbass. You don't. And I wouldn't. I'm going to think Zachary Reese is going to get this done. I think he's going to get a knockout very early. I think Sedriques Dumbass is going to be done in the UFC. You know, I think they've given him plenty of chances. You know, you have to really do something bad. Like, every sporting league, NBA, NFL, MLB, Ultimate Fighting Championship, they don't really give a fuck about domestic violence, you know, but if you're going to do that stuff consistently and be an asshat, they're going to have a shorter leash with you. And I think if Sedriques Dumbass gets knocked out, like me and Kron both anticipate him to, he's going to be gone from the promotion. I think Zachary Reese is a decent prospect. I think he has power. And I think his first loss was very fluky, and his second loss was against a very high-level guy in Azamat Bakoyev. So I'm going to take him to get a knockout here in the first 7 minutes of this fight.
Not Whit Barnes with the classic 7-minute strat.
Of course.
That'll move us into the next one. We have the Mexican man, Jesus Aguilar, facing off against Luis Gurul. Both of these fighters coming off of a loss in their last fight. Gurul suffered his first loss in his last fight to none other than Ode Osborne by way of knockout. We did speak about that fight. Mr. Aguilar coming off of a loss in his last fight prior to the dawn of knockout analysis. He lost to Estevam via unanimous decision. This fight will probably end up being one of those fights that is an ugly one. Probably going to last all 15 minutes. Probably going to end up being a split decision win for Gurul.
I mean, dude, this is kind of like one of my victory lap moments, man. I don't really think I had it after this fight card. The Emmett Murphy fight card will go down as probably the worst card of all time. Bunch of boring ass fights. But I did say that you can go look through YouTube, man. You can go look at all the predictions, man. I might be the only person that picked Ode Osborne to beat this guy. Because Luis Gurul beat Nick Piccinini on his contender series fight in a very ugly bout. And I think both of them are incredibly low level. Yeah, Luis Gurul trains with Brandon Royval, who is one of the best flyweights in the world. And that puts some respect on that. But Luis Gurul, good grappling. He's just mediocre everywhere. You know? And I think this is going to be a close fight. I think this is more his level. You know, Ode Osborne, he's a guy with elite striking for flyweight, but he has piss poor grappling, you know, that's where he loses. Aguilar, he has very good grappling and mediocre striking, you know. I really want to pick him. I really, really do, but, like, it's hard for me to make sense of it. You know, he has more UFC experience. He has 3 UFC wins. Granted, one of them is against Mount Rushmore jobber Shannon Ross, which I can't put a whole lot of merit on. But, you know, Stuart Nickel in Stuart Nickel's home country, I remember watching that. It was the first prelim of that card. It was very cool. You know, nobody's ever beat Rafael Estevam. I'm going to believe in my heart of hearts Jesus Aguilar is going to get this done. I think he's going to get a late submission here. And I'm going to say the 3rd round.
Not bad, not bad. That's going to move us into the next one here. This is going to be
a war.
It's going to be a war, and this is a potential title eliminator fight for the women's strawweight division. We have number 2 ranked Tatiana Suarez facing off against number 4 ranked Amanda Lemos. Both of these fighters have different results in their last fights. Tatiana Suarez coming off of a loss in her last fight and an attempt at the title from Wei Li, who is, mind you, vacating that belt. And Mrs. Lemos coming off of a win in her last fight against a fellow short-haired girl in Lucindo. This is going to be an absolute war. I have never given this to a women's fight before, but I have a feeling this might have a chance to end up being fight of the night. But I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the American Miss Suarez to win this one by unanimous decision.
Yeah, man, I mean, I'm going to start out by saying I do not understand the odds on this. I think this should be a lot closer. If you're a gambling man, I think throwing something on Lemos, especially if you're having a good night gambling up to this point, I think throwing a few dollars on Lemos could be very beneficial because I think she's very game. You know, she's been known as a striker throughout her career. She's 38, but she faced Yasmin Lucindo, a fight that she was an underdog in, and she absolutely dominated Yasmin Lucindo in the grappling. You know, it shows that she has developed in that area, and that's something I really have to respect, you know, especially against Suarez, whose calling card is grappling, and that's what she's going to try to do in this fight. I think this is going to be a stand and bang type of fight. I think Lemos is going to be able to deny the grappling. I think this is going to be close, man. I really do. I don't think this is going to be some domination from Suarez like the odds project. I don't think she's going to get a finish like the odds project. You know, you have to be a certain level of fighter to really finish Amanda Lemos. You know, prime Jessica Andrade, who's a former champion. Verna Jandiroba, who's about to fight for the belt. That was very recently, but I put a lot of respect in Verna Jandiroba, man. She is the ugliest women's UFC fighter, so I think she's going to dominate Mackenzie Dern. Spoiler alert, you know. I just think you have to be a certain level, or you have to really fluke Amanda Lemos, man. And, dude, this is going to be one of my bigger dogs that I take, man. I think Amanda Lemos, I think she's going to land more strikes. I think she's going to deny the takedowns. I think she's going to 29-28 split decision this in quite a big upset.
Well, that'll move us on to the next one. We have the Peruvian Claudio Puelles, the Prince of Peru, facing off against Jean Silva. Both of these fighters coming off of a loss in their last fight. Mr. Claudio got the Ziam treatment and lost a split decision to him. Mr. Silva was a victim of Mr. Jurekar Close.
Oh.
That being said, of those two, I think the better loss goes to Silva on this one. I'm going to take Silva to win this fight by second round TKO.
I mean, neither of these guys are super active. You know, Silva, he's a little bit older. He's like 2-4 in his last 6, you know. You could go further. 3-5, is it? You know, went over Jared Gordon, who we're going to talk about pretty soon, is impressive. But this guy isn't super active, and neither is his opponent, and the Prince of Peru, Puelles, who has lost to Dana Hooker. He had an opportunity to be ranked, and he lost. Faris Ziam, you know, I think Faris Ziam, who pulled out of his last fight against Kyle Fernandez. You know, I think he's one of the better young lightweight fighters who should get an opportunity in the rankings. I think these guys are just, especially these guys in the rankings of the lightweight, are just ducking these younger guys out of fear. You know, they have a common recent win in Clay Guida, who is a legend but no longer a part of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And Claudio Puelles did get a finish while Silva did not. And Puelles is the younger fighter, and he has that finish, longer reach as well. I'm going to have to put a little bit more respect on him. I think this is going to be a close fight, but I'm going to say 29-28 Puelles is going to get it done tonight. Or on Saturday, excuse me.
That'll move us into the next fight, which will be the Bolivian Jose Daniel Medina facing off against...
Voices in the air, hear them loud and clear, telling me... This is my WrestleMania, man. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kron. You do your thing, man. This
Facing off against Dusko Todorovic. This is a battle of ass. This is Cardi B, Nicki Minaj twerk off right here. Levels of ass.
Hell yeah.
This is some of the worst fighting you'll ever see. It's so bad one of these two fucking idiots might get a performance bonus. I'm going to be honest. Fortnite emoting Jose Daniel Medina facing off against 2-4 Dusko Todorovic. Both of them have lost to Zachary Reese. So the fact that they're fighting in the higher level than him on the card is crazy to me. This one, I mean, the only solace I can give to Medina is he got knocked out by Ateba Gautier, who appears that he's going to be a problem. So I think I'm going to have to give this one to Daniel Medina. And I think he's going to win this fight by knockout.
Dude, this is a fight that I've paid very much attention to. Because, like, how the fuck was it made? You know? Genuinely. Like, Dusko Todorovic came in here as he was like a blue chip guy coming into the Contender Series. And a lot of people had respected him. And he didn't have a great battle in Contender Series, a very boring fight. He still got the contract anyways, and he's just been You know, he's got injured in one of his fights. He's got brutally knocked out in 2 of them. He's lost some to decision. He's beaten some jobbers. Like, it's just been bad. But whenever I say bad, man, Jose Daniel Magini is Michael Jackson. He is fucking bad, bro. He has not won a single fucking round, bro. Contender Series fight against Gadzhia Sulov. 30-27. Didn't win a single round. Zachary Reese got absolutely clobbered. Didn't win a single round in that fight. Atebe Gautier was emoting, doing some Fortnite shit. Didn't win it. Obviously got knocked down that round. Obviously didn't win a single round. He has no defense. He doesn't move his head. And on top of that, I don't remember the exact number of takedowns, but 70% of the time you try to take this guy down, you get the takedown. Like, this guy is generationally bad at fighting. I don't really care about his durability. This is I don't know that Dusko Todorovic deserves the layup. Like, I get it. He's young. But it's I'm pretty sure I said on this card, the Blanchfield Barber card, that him and Zachary Reese were fighting for a contract, and he's still here, you know? I think if he doesn't get a finish against Medina, that both these guys get cut. I genuinely do. Like, if Todorovic does not finish Medina, which I think this is going to be a decision, man. Like, I think a submission is going to be Todorovic's path to getting a finish. You know, I think he could get a triangle choke, not with a foot, but an arm triangle. I think could be his path, but I think this is going to be a 30-27, 30-26. I think Todorovic is going to grapple. I don't think this is going to be a crowd-pleasing fight at all. I think this is going to be Todorovic fighting for a win for his roster spot, and I think it's going to backfire, and I think both these gentlemen will get cut after this one, because this is a low-level fight. This is worse than Tafa versus Tokos, because Jose Medina is genuinely a bad fighter. I don't even think he can fluke a knockout against Chinny guy. This guy has no technique. He does have some BJJ. He could beat your average man because of his BJJ, but he's not going to do it in this one. I think Todorovic is going to win a decision, and I think both of these guys are going to be sent on trains to Serbia and Bolivia, respectively. Cronus having a cackle.
Oh, so I was just looking at something. Alexander Hernandez has changed his nickname for this fight. I think he was trying to be cheeky and change his name is the Great Ape, Alexander the Great Ape Hernandez, who he has changed his name now to, what is it now? El Gran Chongo, which translates, according to my translation sources, to the Great Monkey instead of the Great Ape. Whoa. So we got Alexander the Great Monkey Hernandez facing off against Diego Ferreira, a guy that, who was this guy? He was just supposed to fight somebody.
He was supposed to fight King Green. Bobby Green.
He was supposed to fight Bobby Green before Bobby Green fraudulently fell down a flight of stairs. But this is going to be an interesting knockout, drag-out fight, I think. I think this could be fight of the night if it goes the distance. I don't think it does, however. I'm going to say something that's going to shock a lot of people here, but I'm going to rock with Hernandez just strictly off momentum. He's got a good run going right now. He knocked out the Gooner Hooper. I think he can do it again. Give me Hernandez here by knockout round 2.
And man, as much as I want to shit on, and will continue to shit on Alexander Hernandez, as much as I think he loses to Chase Hooper 8 out of 10 times, it is an impressive win, and a win is a win. My hands are off of it.
No, 9. He loses 9 out of 10 times, not 8.
I mean, Kron is probably. I'll give that to Kron. He lost that Carl Ball fight. He lost the Austin Hubbard fight. This guy, he lost 2 of those fights, dude. He's probably cut. I think he's lucky more than he is good, And he's lost to old bastards more than once, man. Damon Jackson, old as hell. Not very good, Who else has he lost to? Billy Q, bro. Terrible loss. Where is it? I'm looking for a certain Donald Cerrone, bro. This dude lost Donald Cerrone when he was 38, bro. Alexander Hernandez was looking like a very high-level prospect in the prime of his career. Excuse me. And Alexander Hernandez fell flat on his face. And I think this is a certain situation, man. The same situation. I've been watching the line throughout the week. Carlos Diego Ferreira started as a plus 120 line. He is now at minus 115, which says everything it needs to say. I don't think that Alexander Hernandez is on the level as Diego Ferreira, who has fought many killers, man. Grant Dawson literally does what he did to Diego Ferreira to everybody he fights. And Diego Ferreira was beating the shit out of him on the feet. He had moments where he rocked him, He beat Mateusz Rebecki, who is a fight of the night level guy. Michael Johnson knocked him out. Mateusz Gamrot, Gregor Gillespie, who's a ranked guy. Beneil Dariush, Anthony Showtime Pettis, who is a championship level fighter, and who has his own fighting order. Dude, Carlos Diego Ferreira is that guy, bro. He's that guy, He fights out of Dallas at Fortis MMA. A gym that's has a mixture of views, but I think he's better than Alexander Hernandez, man. And I'm gonna say that about everybody he faces. If Alexander Hernandez wins this fight, I think he's gonna get a ranked opportunity. I just really think it's as simple as that. But I don't think he's gonna win this. I think Diego Ferreira is gonna knock him out, and Alexander Hernandez is gonna go back to fighting mid-level fighters. And I think Kron is gonna be on his phone during this whole entire fight, because who gives a rat's ass about Alexander, the Great Ape, or whatever his Spanish name is, Hernandez?
Yeah. Anyways, we're on to the next one. Actually, you got this one. There's another blacked out fighter, which means Whit knows about him and I don't.
I mean, dude, Quang Lee versus Santiago Luna, man. They just picked this guy up off the streets. 21-year-old guy. His nickname is Border Boy. Santiago Border Boy Luna. That is a crazy nickname. I can't believe that they let that pass on ESPN, man. We're Disney, man. How are you gonna let that pass? Quang Bang Lee. Who does that to Gaston Bolaños, man, is all I gotta say. Nobody does that to the kickboxer, Gaston Bolaños, man. Nobody disrespects him like that, man. He's only been submitted 3 times in his career. He's one of 3 people to submit Gaston Bolaños, man. I have reason to believe that Quang Lee is going to submit the young and unproven Santiago Luna, who doesn't really know what he's getting into. As long as Santiago Luna does not take Quang Bang Lee, as long as he doesn't take Quang Bang Lee's back, Santiago, the Border Patrol Luna, is not going to win this fight, and I think he's going to get submitted. in the second round. Here, I'll put a round on that.
Do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
Go to Tapology and go look at the little picture that they gave Santiago Luna and see if you want to revise your pick or not.
Border boy. Why is he just standing there menacingly?
Why does he look cross-eyed? I've seen all I need to see. Quang Lee's going to knock his eyes back straight and knock his head off the canvas in round one.
Mm-hmm. Put some respect on Quang Bang Lee's name, man.
That'll move us into the next fight where we have Hall of Famer off of one fight, not off of his fighting career, Kelvin Gastelum, facing off against Dustin, the Amish Stoltzfus Pretzels guy. 16-7 record for him. Has 6 submissions, 3 wins by knockout. Facing off against 20-10 Kelvin Gastelum. Both fighters coming off of losses in their last fights. Gastelum coming off of an absolute war with Joe Bodybags Pfeiffer. A fight that he should have been knocked out multiple times and he wasn't. And Stoltzfus coming off of a loss to Ruzaboyev, who just dominated him for a whole fight. These two were meant for each other. I've got Kelvin Gastelum winning this fight by ground and pound knockout.
Yeah, no, man. Kron and I won't really differentiate on this one. Dustin Stoltzfus, your time has come, big dog. Like, he had decent moments against Ruzaboyev, but he chose submission over position on many times. Like, and he also did not glove touch, which I think is a bitch move and shows a lot about his character as a man. And that's not going to help him against a hard-working daughter dater like Kelvin Gastelum. Yeah, Kelvin Gastelum, he's going to have a disadvantage in height and reach in every fight he has in this division. But Kelvin Gastelum has hands, and he has an absolute chin. Now this dude, for the people that watch Fairly Odd Parents, this guy has the crimson chin. He's not getting knocked out. If Joe Bodybags Pfeiffer couldn't get him out of there with his nasty, nasty straight punch, which is his one and only move, Dustin Stoltzfus' bitch ass isn't going to do it. Like, I just don't believe in him. I think he is a bitch-made motherfucker who I have no respect for. I don't really hate the guy, because he's not good enough for me to, despise. I just think he's bad. And I think that he's in over his head. I think the line should be much wider. I think Gastelum should be about a 400 to 500 favorite. And I think he's going to beat the bricks off him. I think this is going to be a first-round finish, man. I think Stoltzfus is going to be aggressive, and I think Gastelum is going to use his boxing pedigree, which he has done so well in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I think he's going to find Stoltzfus' chin early, who's going to try to wrestle, and is going to be very unsuccessful against the absolute fridge that is Kelvin Gastelum. Give me first round here. Let me give you a timestamp. 1 minute, 21-second uppercut knockout by Kelvin Gastelum.
All right, that will bring us into the next one here. I'm going to try to speed this up just a little bit. Here we go. We got Rafa Garcia versus Jared Gordon here. Honestly, I don't know about you, Mr. Barnes. I'm kind of just ready to get to this next fight, so I'm going to make a quick pick here. I'm going Jared Gordon based off of experience and just being a better fighter all around.
Yeah, man, I this is one of those fights where I think it's pretty much guaranteed. Minus 250 is very good odds for Jared Gordon against this guy, who I think Rafa Garcia could have very well lost a 42-year-old Vince Pichel on the Moreno Urseg card. I remember watching that fight and thinking, damn, this dude's 31 fighting against a 42-year-old man in his last fight. and this is very competitive. Like I just don't think this guy's very good. He beats old men and jobbers. He got absolutely clobbered by Grant Dawson. I remember that fight in the Royval Tyra card, man. Because Grant Dawson went out and said that his wife's ass is so fine you could bounce a quarter off of it after he knocked Rafa Garcia the fuck out. Like, he had a crazy speech. Clay Guida, very old legend. Mashate, jobber. This guy he doesn't beat anybody super impressive. And Jared Gordon is a guy I have respect on. The Paddy Pimblett fight will always be the most controversial fight for him. A lot of people thought he won. He knocked out Thiago Moises. Who does that to Thiago Moises? Shout out Joe Rogan, man. I think Jared Gordon's going to knock this dude out, bro. I don't think he's very good. I don't know why he's getting this opportunity, bro. I think they just wanted another Mexican fighter on this card. And there's not a lot of guys I'd pick Rafa Garcia to beat. I think his record is deceiving. And I think he's a jobber, man. I think Jared Gordon's going to beat the bricks off him and knock him out within the first 7 minutes.
I'm going to do something different, unprecedented here. I'm going to give my back-to-back fire picks for this. I don't think this next fight's even close. I think experience is going to come into play here for the veteran number 9 ranked Rob Font in the bantamweight division. I think Rob Font's going to win by 3rd round knockout. And for the main event of the evening, myself will be picking Mr. Jean Silva, and here's why. I was very high on Diego Lopes when he was fighting Volkanovski. He absolutely let me down. He barely threw any punches back. In my opinion, it was not a good fight at all. People will disagree with me, but in my opinion, it was not a good fight at all. John Silva's fun to watch. The pre-fight antics are fun to watch. His fighting's fun to watch. The submissions are fun to watch. The striking's fun to watch. The grappling's fun to watch. The kickboxing's fun to watch. All in all, the UFC wants John Silva to win because he's more marketable than Diego Oklahoma State Cowboy Lopes. Give me John Silva by 2nd round knockout.
Rob Font compels you. Rob Font compels you. He compels you. This guy, Rob Font, the people that are not looking and watching this while they're in their car, if you look at the screen, Rob Font, he compels you. You compel me, Rob Font. But, okay, I'm done glazing, man. Rob Font has been on a title run, man, and I think a lot of people don't really put a lot of respect on his name. There has been a path to beating him, but he has switched gyms after the Figueiredo fight. He went to TriStar after being at Calvin Kattar's jobber gym, and he had an absolute coming out party against Kyler Phillips, dominated that fight. Very easy for him. Gene Matsumoto, he landed more damaging strikes, even after Matsumoto tried the fake glove touch antic, He's just been a different fighter since he's come out of there. And I love David Martinez, bro. David Martinez, I think, deserves to be ranked. He is a medical doctor, brother. He does have his doctorate, and he's a respectable guy. Great fight against Xavier Franklin in the Contender Series. I think Xavier Franklin deserved a contract. And Simon Oliveira, a great win in Mexico, This guy is very, very good at fighting. I think this is a tougher stylistic matchup for Rob Font than Chihuahua was going to be. Because Rob Font was supposed to fight Raul Rosas Chihuahuas here, but David Martinez took the opportunity like a real man, and I think Rob Font's going to land more damaging strikes. I don't think he's going to get outboxed by anybody, even though David Martinez's base is boxing.
Just predict the wheel kick knockout with. Predict it, you want to.
I'm going to say wheel kick. No, I would love to say wheel kick knockout, but I think David Martinez, he's going to circle to the wrong side, and I think he's going to get hit with a right hook, man, and he's going to get knocked out. He's going to get outboxed by one of the best boxers in bantamweight history. Right, and I think if Rob Font gets a finish here, give him Sean O'Malley, bro. Give him somebody else, bro. Quit giving him these unranked fucking contenders. He's 38. Give him a real man. Give him a real man.
Predict
Give
it
him
for
a
Jean
real man.
Silva then. Predict the wheel kick knockout for Silva.
And I'm going to say it right now, bro. I don't give a shit that Jean Silva's teammates lost. Jean Silva is a different fighter. Jean Silva is one of the best fighters in the world. I don't think this is going to be a competitive fight at all. And it's not because Diego Lopes is bad. It's because Jean Silva is one of the best fighters in the world. I've watched all of this man's fights in the UFC. And he just goes out there and shows out.
It's because they were all in 2 months.
Literally. Drew Dober. Everybody thought Drew Dober was going to beat Jean Silva. He was an underdog. He beat the shit out of Drew Dober and knocked him out. Everybody thinks, ooh, Jean Silva, oh, he's the same teammate as the fucking other fighting nerds. He's going to lose. You know, because Jean Silva last week, I paid attention. Last week, at this time, he was a minus 350 favorite. Now he's a minus 250. There's action coming on Diego Lopes. You are wrong, bro. Jean Silva is going to knock this dude out in the first round. He's going to make this look easy, bro. And as much as I hate to say it, if Volk does not retire after beating Lerone Murphy, he's going to get knocked out by Jean Silva. It's Jean Silva's time. He is one of the best in the world. This is more than fighting for him, brother. This is to prove a point. This is to prove that he's that dog. And he is that dog in him, and it comes out.
A world-class submission specialist in Bryce Mitchell. He submitted him.
Like the no grappling shit, man. Thank you, Kron. Thank you. The no grappling shit makes no sense to me, bro. Because, yeah, Mauricio Ruffy, no grappling. I'll give you all that one, bro. Carlos Prates showcased very, very good defensive grappling against Ian Gary. If he had no grappling, he would have got submitted and dominated. That was a close fight. Caio Barallo showed better grappling than I expected. And, you know, again, in the fight against Imavov, bro. These guys are good grapplers, man. Jean Silva's the best of all of them, bro. He puts in a lot of work there. He submitted, as Kron said, a black belt who is a submission artist in the featherweight division. Give me Jean Silva's going to knock this dude out in the first 3 minutes of this fight, man. He's going to make it look easy. He's going to have jaws dropping in the floor, and he's going to have bodies on it, too. In San Antonio, man. Jean Silva is one of the best in the world.
And Joe Rogan doing this in the booth.
Mm-hmm. Shit, I hope Joe Rogan's commentating this card, man. He's going to be doing a flip, but...
We might have to listen to Michael Bisping at a Mexican-themed event.
Nobody does that to Diego Lopes, however he says it.
No, but he does that to Diego Lopes.
Exactly. It's much better
What
than
have
how
you done?
it is.
You've absolutely fucked it, you prick. That being said, we have reached the end of this one. Please be sure to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. As always, check out our sponsors, Shank It Golf, W.GG, and CowboyRevolution.com. Real note, be sure to hug your loved ones tight tonight, and remember to take some time, no matter what side of the spectrum that you sit on politically. A man lost his life tonight. A wife lost her husband. Parents lost their son, and kids lost their father.
Absolutely.
It's deeper than politics at this point. It's human nature, empathy, and compassion. And if you're not having any of that for him because he was a Trump supporter or because he's on the right, do me a favor. Get the fuck over it and do better. We'll see y'all on the next one.
On your media